Welcome to this week's End of Days Update, coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hey, if you're anywhere near Terre Haute, Indiana, this weekend we'll be at Faith Outreach Church. We'll be there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of this week, and then we head to the big Effingham camp meeting at New Beginnings Church. It'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Try to come to that. Those are the craziest fun meetings. So we'll have fun in Terre Haute, we'll have fun in Effingham, and then we'll head to Mount Pleasant, Iowa the next week. So we're going to have a great time. We're coming to you every week to look at the different things that point to the coming of the Lord. Specifically, kind of the gathering of nations for the Ezekiel 38 war, because I say it every week, the second coming has tons of signs. I think in our book it's about 79 or 80. There's probably more than that. But the rapture is signless. So what we're watching right now is a total setup of the nations that literally are affected during the tribulation. They're one by one flawlessly coming into place. Why would that be a big deal? Well, I hear people go, well, you don't need to talk about end times. Well, if you look at the Bible and look at the Word shows us all these things that are such a setup so that we'd make changes. If we're that close to the coming of the Lord, He wants it to alter us so that we run faster, not slower. I've never seen a guy in a race at the very end when he sees the finish line go, what is that and what should I do? No, he makes changes to accelerate. So it's not an escape theology, it's a hustle theology. Because what you have right now, right after the rapture of the church, the Bible talks about the first seal that's opened is the Antichrist. Why would that be a big deal to us? You're watching the world get ready for a leader to come on the scene to have a perfect solution for the Israeli situation with Gaza, with Hamas, with Hezbollah, with the Houthis, with Iran. So some guy is going to come on the scene with a flawless answer for that. Well, the next seal that's open is World War III. Well, you have everything set up for World War III. I mean, listen to this. This happened this last week. This one kind of freaked me out. Russia had one of their main installations, which basically is kind of a deterrent for nuclear missiles coming toward their land. They have several of those set up. And this is the defense system that got blown up this last week. Guess which defense system got blown up this last week that Russia has for its entire country? The Middle East version of its defense system. None of the others got touched, but the Middle Eastern version one did. So they have these, basically it's almost like the Abraham slingshot and the Arrow missile for Israel. You have that along with in Russia. So Russia is basically its defense system for nuclear weapons got taken down for its Middle Eastern portion. So why is that a big deal? The Bible says Russia is going to come down on Israel and God's going to wipe out 85% of them. He said 5/6 of them will be pushed back so that the heathen may know that He is God. So if we're living right now watching the setup for that, it should preach to us. When I hear people say, well, why do you talk about end times? Well, because the Bible, a third of the Bible is prophecy. And the Lord said in Isaiah 46, He said, hey, you can tell the authenticity of the Bible by me telling you what's going to happen before it happens. Amazing, flawless. So only the Bible can do that. You can talk to a Buddhist, you can talk to a Muslim, their book doesn't give you future. This is the only book that gives you future. And I love how the Palestinians all say, well, Jerusalem's holy to us. It's not mentioned once in the Quran. It's mentioned over 600 times in the Bible. And the Bible said Jerusalem be a cup of trembling for all nations. So we're watching the setup for that right now. So that's happening with Russia right now. Russia threatened NATO and Western civilization they said we are set up to nuke these big population areas in Europe. Now he said that because NATO's coming in and helping the Ukraine defeat Russia. I mean, taking out one of its missile installation defense systems is pretty crazy. So all that's pointing to all the stuff that's happening for the coming of the Lord. The big deal was probably the strike in Rafah. Israel having to go into Rafah. 45 innocent Palestinians got killed. Israel got blamed for it. Well, through video, Israel showed that it hit its targets. Two of the main people with Hamas got killed, but some things ignited over there and burned some buildings up and burned some tents up. And it's horrible that happened, but Hamas shouldn't have tried to kill Israel October 7th. Remember, what happened on October 7th is 39 times the equivalent of what happened at 9/11 for us. So you're watching report after report after report from the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, about all the different things that are happening with this. This one section alone is causing all the nations there to try to say, like, we've got to annihilate Israel, along with all the campuses not being able to have graduations because of all that. You had firebombs thrown at the Israeli embassy in Mexico. You've got things happening at all the different consulates all over the world to come against Israel. So all this stuff is attention against Israel. Israel. And the Bible said this is exactly what you'd see just before the coming of the Lord. Now, it's so ratcheted up, it's hard to go through one by one all the different nations that are doing this, but you have Hamas right now in Gaza restarting missiles firing into Israel. This last week, they fired missiles into Tel Aviv. You've got a continual happening of this in the northern part of Israel with Hezbollah. I mean, Israel just said, we're going to continue to do this. They found an 800-foot tunnel in Gaza this last week. Along with that, you had the Houthis starting to get brand new intercontinental ballistic missiles from Iran. Now, this is them firing missiles into the Red Sea, and Israel had to take out some this last week. There were 5 fired at Israel in Eilat. I was in Eilat just a couple months ago. So you've got in populated areas, Iran firing missiles into Israel on that side. You've got Hamas on the southwestern portion firing missiles into Israel. You've got Hezbollah on the northern part of Israel firing missiles into Israel, and Israel's having to take them out one by one. There's so many things that are happening that is wild. This is the one that I hope people stay on long enough. The International Atomic Energy Agency said Iran has 313 pounds of enriched uranium, up to 60%. 60% is right on the edge. It doesn't take but one little step to get it to 90%. So it takes about 92 pounds of enriched uranium to make an atomic bomb. So do the math. 90 into 300, you got basically 3 atomic bombs right there. So, and that's what the International Atomic Agency said, this is just what we know. So with that, you have Biden, our United States Biden administration literally told Germany and France and the UK not to censure Iran, because they said we've got to censure them because they're doing all this stuff on their own and they're making a nuclear bomb. They're going to use it on Israel. And America said don't censure Iran. But these nations in Europe said we got to pay attention to this because these guys are crazy. So this is happening. They have enough enriched uranium for 3 atomic bombs. When you have that coming out publicly, get ready for Israel to do something in the next couple of weeks that has to deter that. So you have the volatility of all these things because the Bible says this is what you see. Remember, Paul talked about the baptism 12 times? Coming of the Lord 52 times. For the first coming of the Lord, all these verses and all these prophecies, 8 times more about the second coming. So very documented. So we always go back to the Word. The Word is what we base our lives on. What does the Word say? The Bible says, Jesus said in Luke, when you see Israel and Jerusalem won back, Israel made a nation and Jerusalem won back, when you see those 2 events, you can tell that generation's when I'm coming back. That's happened in our lifetime. Remarkable. But you have so many more that are blatant. You have the Hebrew language restored. Look it up. You don't hear anybody speaking Hittite, Amorite, Canaanite, but you hear them speaking Hebrew because God said He would do this just before the coming of the Messiah. But you got to run through them. You have the revival of the Roman Empire. You have their Capitol building in Strasbourg, France. It looks like the Tower of Babel. You got the Ethiopian Jews brought back. You got the fertility of the land of Israel. You have foxes on the Temple Mount. You have the ritual baths around the Temple Mount filled up with water, first time in 2,000 years. You have the Dead Sea. Fish show up a couple years ago. This last year, you had in the Dead Sea, you had where Sodom and Gomorrah was, the Dead Sea turned blood red on the Day of Atonement. So you have that. You have 172 different species of predatory birds that start showing up. Amazing. The cleanup crew in Israel right now. That's even accelerated to more. So you have the Temple Mount Institute ready to have sacrifices. You got the red heifers, the first time ever that they're flawless because their ears weren't clipped because of COVID, and they're clipping their ears again now. So you have a section of red heifers ready. They have to be used between the 2nd and 3rd year, and that's what they are right now. So that just shows you we're very close to sacrifices. So it's all happening right in front of our eyes. If you went through it, men will be lovers themselves. They have selfie sticks. I saw a guy in California have 2 different selfie sticks, almost got hit by a car. So all this stuff is there to show us we're there. You have about 79 to 80 signs. I mean, remarkable. Think about all the Bible said it would look like right now, and we're there. I hear people sometimes go, well, are we really there if we're really there? But you go from signs to signals. You had blood red moons on Passover and Tabernacles, 4 in a row. NASA calls that a tetrad. It's pretty amazing that you got the heavens signaling how close we are. And what were those events? On Passover, Tabernacles, the heavens are going, okay, I died for you, I'm coming back. I died for you, I'm coming back. When's the last time you had 4 in a row on Passover and Tabernacles like that? 1967, when Jerusalem was won back. 1948, when Israel was made a nation. And 1492 at the Edict of Expulsion, when the Jews were kicked out of Spain. Remarkable. But then you have the Bethlehem star, Jupiter, Regulus, Venus coming together at the birth of Jesus. Jupiter, a king planet. Regulus, regal, king planet. Regulus did retrograde retrograde motion. It looks like it's going backwards, but it was crowning Jupiter. So those all happened at the birth of Jesus. So, I mean, it's pretty radical. What was the constellation? Virgo when he was born. What was the constellation this last year? Leo. He's the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Wow. God, the poetry of all these things coming together at one time. It's like a movie, it's like a novel where Jesus will come in and rescue Israel at the second coming. We'll be right there with him. We'll go up 7 years before the second coming. We'll go to the marriage supper of the Lamb, go to the reward seat of Christ, and then we'll come back with him, and man, we'll watch all of the earth bow in adoration. They'll hit their knees saying he is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Wow, Jesus being honored in the earth as he ought to. So soon we'll be on the coolest ride we've ever been on in our lives, on a white horse coming down, watching the earth get ready for the Creator to come. Wow, Jesus is coming so soon. Now, there's tons of other things that happen. Hard to remember all of it, hard to communicate all of it, but it's all compiled into one moment, seeing everything the Bible said you'd see right now coming to pass. Wow, we're so blessed. Well, get ready, make changes, do everything you can to help your local church, help your local pastor, be involved, be engaged. Don't fit church into your life. It is your life. Come back this next week and we'll look what's happened with Israel all around. We'll look at the worldwide condemnation of Israel protecting itself, because Jesus is just about to come back. Have a blessed week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for joining us today at the End of Days Update. If you'd like to be notified every time there's a new post, just go to the EDU at josephmorris.com and subscribe to receive email alerts. If these posts and updates have been a blessing to you, please consider making a one-time donation to help get the message out, or even becoming a monthly partner with Joseph Morris Ministries. Thanks again for tuning in to the EDU, and we'll see you next week.